So here we go. This is the second one in January 2018, and it's the first part of a two-parter. I was going to do the rudder as one long video, but taking the thing apart turned out to be such a palaver that I've split it into two. So this first part is really kind of taking it apart, and then the next part will be putting it all back together again. So let's just go back to, I think it was the second video of September 2017 and the first one of October. I took the rudder off originally because I wanted to simply replace the bearings. The sort of they're like rubbery plastic stuff, but then discovered there's some nasty corrosion, including some crevice corrosion. Surveyor had a look at it. Really, no choice but to actually split the rudder down, take it apart. Good news being is I do actually have the original plans, or copy of the plans of the rudder. With this mysterious stuff, if you look at it, it says it's filled with dough, so this should be easy, shouldn't it? Split it in half, take the dough out, get a new rudder stock made up, and go ahead from there. So here we go, let's start the scraping. Now the reason I'm videoing this is because when I did the other end, literally with a wire brush, it actually fell in half, so I'm not expecting that to happen here. Okay, so it's kind of obvious already that this is not particularly good. You can see the pits and holes here, and you can also see how this has been kind of glassed up to here, and then there's a joint, and there's some actual dry bits of fiberglass strand that you can see, and some holes and things. So yeah, I need to decide. I might well make a cut down there, and then I'm not sure how I'm going to split it yet. And it's equally bad on the other side where there's an actual hole going down there, although that seems to be joined slightly better. So that was literally a couple of hours work to get that much sanded off. Right, so this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a very dull day. This has been sanded, sorry, it's been scraped. I scraped all of this off, sanded down a little bit. Still a little bit to do along here, and I'm going to use this one of these 3M Scotch Brite things. Now this petrifies me because when I first bought it, the thing I immediately thought of was those shredders in. Did you see the film Battleship? Those sort of shredders that cut the boats into half. So this is really, but anyway, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit. But let's see if I can just get a little bit more off here, and then I'm going to make a cut down here, because this seems where things are joined up, and really haven't decided yet how to take this apart. It's going to be sort of suck it and see, I think. Actually, that's not bad at getting that down to the fiberglass, and you can see there's a clear line here. Well, this is fiberglass, and that's kind of the gel coat. So yeah, right. The rest of this, by the way, this needs sanding down a bit further, but I'm bursting to get this end bit off and see if it actually just pops. No, it's not just going to pop off, is it? We should see. Certainly wasn't expecting that. Interesting. Lots of sort of rust and decay up there. Okay, so I really wasn't expecting that to just pop off. You can see here sort of gel coat and fiberglass. Lots of water ingress down to here, probably water ingress into the actual rudder itself. Middle bit not looking too bad, and then down at the bottom this looks really gnarly. This is the bit that fell in half. I'm very pleased that back bit came out. That really is a surprise. Shouldn't be surprised, I should know what I'm doing really, but yeah, no, that was a surprise. Okay, so I'm not actually sure when this video is going out because I want to do all of the rudder stuff and then put it out as sort of one video, but this is actually being filmed about 2 days after I went to the boat show. It's a horrible rainy day, so I can't do any work today, and the boat show would have been the first 2018 one. Now, at the boat show, I went along to see West System Epoxy, the people there, because I wanted to just talk to them about how to do a barrier coat once I'd sort of redone the rudder, put it all back together, and the best way of actually doing that, and what how they recommend that I do it. If you watch any of the West System videos, and you really should, you'll probably recognise David Johnson. I think he's the European, no, he's the, what is he, the technical operations manager. He does a lot of the demos, he's written a lot of articles and so on. And I'll do a link to their site because you really should watch the stuff. And he was there, and I was asking him about it, and he said, "Oh, what sort of boat is that?" I said, "I'm here at 28." He said, "Oh yeah, I used to make the rudders for those." So I guess this is way back when he was an apprentice or so. And so it was really useful to be able to talk directly to West Systems and talk to somebody who'd actually been involved in the construction of my boat. Nice thing was, he said a lot of nice things about the construction of it, but I already know that it's a well-constructed boat because that's, you know, a lot of people talk about that. And he gave me a couple of suggestions. He said, "There's one I know you won't follow, which is what I would do, and there's another one which is what you'll probably do." So basically the one that he said that he would do, and a lot of boat yards would do, was simply to make a mould of the old rudder. So actually, and you can watch videos on how to make moulds, so this is where you'd use sort of polyester based resin system and so on. You cut the mould and then you'd make two halves, and then you could actually make a brand new rudder and then sort of fill it in. And he said, but I can understand that once you've kind of cut the stock out of your rudder, you're probably going to think, look, I've got two perfectly usable parts, stick them back together. The thing that he did say, and had I have known this before, I might have done the last bit, which you'll probably just seen, which is me cutting the back off the rudder stock, which is this bit, is he said he would actually cut down the middle all the way round, but it's not too late to do that. I need to do something about this anyway, because looking at this, there are some really big voids in here where this has been done, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. And I think this is the filler stuff. He did say that the filler is actually quite solid. On the plans it's just called dough, and I can't remember exactly what he said it was made out of. It was some sort of ash products mixed together with some sort of hardeners and stuff, and he said it's really quite structural and solid, not like a lot of the rudders where the tangs can kind of move around and so on. So his first suggestion, as I say, would be to make a mould and then make a brand new rudder. His second suggestion was to split it in half, splitting around the outside, so not like the one that you would have seen if you've watched Andy in Boatworks, where he's got a slightly different construction. He kind of cuts a piece out the top. So he said split it in the middle. I will find that the tangs on one side have actually been fiberglass to the side to keep them in place. He said the whole rudder was actually built in a framework. They had a kind of a clamped system where they got everything together when they made it up. So I might make some sort of a jig, some sort of a framework to do that. So I've got to split it in half, really clean out all the old stuff, and he said it's going to be very, very solid. And then he said what he would actually do, obviously, is jig it up, put the stock back in, get the tangs in the right place, get everything neatly lined up, glue that together, epoxy that together, which I will do if all that works out. And then he said what for filling in the void, what he would tend to use would be, you can't get it through West Systems, but you can get it through their professional arm. I think it's called ProSet. I'll check that, I've written it down. Hang on. So yeah, ProSet, which is an expanding epoxy foam. So it's like the stuff that you see, but it's not the sort of cheapo stuff that you can push your finger through. It's quite a nice one. And he said he would actually drill a hole in the top of the rudder and fill it in once the rudder's put together, so not doing it side by side, so you haven't then got to do all this fairing and stuff. And once you've got all the rudder together, then you would sheathe it round with 450 biaxial, which is what I was going to do, and then put in, do about sort of 4 or 5 coats of epoxy on the outside as a barrier coat. So that stuff I was going to do anyway, but that was really, really useful and fortuitous. I'm not it doesn't really matter that I've cut this thing off or anyway. So it's well worth going to these shows. It's well worth going to the shows even if you're not going to buy a brand new Sunseeker or Princess, simply because you get to meet the technical people who really, really know their stuff. They're passionate about what they do, and it was a great bit of advice. So I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about this now. I just wish the weather would clear up so I could go outside, get the angle grinder out, cut this thing in half, and then have a look and see what it looks like. So, moment of truth. Brand new thin plasma thing on here, marked up a line down the middle of the rudder. Those of you who've seen my videos before must be thinking, but he hasn't used the hammer yet. Well, here we go. Right, I'm going to call it a day a little bit there because I'm in danger of trying to prise this open too much and then you will get that ominous crack. So I need to get a longer blade to sort of like, it's like filleting a fish, so I'm looking at it, to sort of fillet it and then take it out slowly. There's no point in rushing this, there's every point in trying to do it properly. So it's not a bad bit of progress today. I'll feel so much happier when this is put back in. Right, so really not sure if this is a good idea or not because I'm actually splitting this off. This is the dough, this is the stuff in the middle. That's not what you call foam, is it? This is concrete, it's basically concrete, this stuff. Astonishing. I've got a few bits out. And what I've noticed is that if I carefully lever this up, I can kind of hear it, the concrete splitting away from the fiberglass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and split this a little bit. And try not to crack it, because if the worst comes to the worst, then well, maybe the best thing to do is to actually make a mould out of it anyway. I don't know. If I can get the fiberglass off, all well and good. Let's see what happens here. Yes. Whoa. Right, so this I've got one side off. I think the other side, well anyway, I've split it. That's one of the tangs. There's another one. And that's the third one. So hopefully I can get the rudder stock off. And I might take it along to the place that's actually doing the new one. But look at this. This is chop strand matting. So this is what's come away from the. This is the bit that I've had to sort of split to get this open. So yeah, that was a job and a half, and there's still a lot obviously of cleanup because I've got to clean this stuff off, but being able to get to it from the top is a lot better. So there we go. Right, let's get this rudder stock off, and that's probably the last thing I'm going to do today because I'm running out of daylight. Whoa. Right, all that effort just to get that flipping thing out. So a slightly more involved job than I thought. That dough, by the way, that's also at the bottom of the, not at the bottom of the keel, but underneath the floor where the keel attaches to. So it's quite nice to know there's a concrete base to my boat. But anyway, see you next time, and we'll look at putting it all back together and see how that works out.